Welcome to week 10 and week 11 of Esper's Refit, and here we are on Ko Lanta.
This coming week it's Songkran, which is the traditional Buddhist New Year, which will be celebrated in Thailand and Myanmar as well. So as our workers pack up and go home to visit their friends, we thought we'd take a quick break in Ko Lanta. We're dedicating this first part to your questions and answers.
Zoe, ask some questions to Jamie and Liz.
Let me see them.
No, you have to ask them questions first.
I want to see them. Where is Jamie live?
Where are they? Okay, that's the first one. What's the second question that you'd like to ask? That's the same as the first question. What's the next question? Well, for Liz.
Why do you have to draw me?
Hi Zoe! Well, we're in Thailand. At the moment we're in Ko Lanta on holiday for a few days. But normally when you see the refit, we're in Satun, which is at the very south of Thailand. And we're in a little village called Chebalang, hello, where the boatyard is.
Right, she also wanted to know why you wear pyjamas.
Hi Zoe, the reason I wear pyjamas, as you call them, is to keep all that horrible dust and paint and all those nasty things that are flying around in the air, because there's lots of grinding and sanding and it gets in your skin. So if I cover up in loose clothing, I keep quite cool, but I also stop all those nasty bits and pieces getting caught in my skin. Your dad sent us a whole load of questions by email, Jamie. Do you want to answer any now?
Yeah, he sent 10, so I'll just answer a couple. There was an important point that he raised regarding the exhaust pipe that we exposed when we cut into the cavity by the side of your bed. So what we're doing is we're actually boxing around the exhaust pipe, so that will be completely isolated. The other question he asked was about the floorboards, and it's not something we've really discussed before, so we'll let you into a little secret. What we're doing is not putting teak down on our decks, but we're actually putting solid teak down in the saloon below on the sole boards. So we bought a whole load of planks the other day, and we'll be slicing them to create a 6mm veneer, which we will epoxy down on top of the existing sole boards. Okay, Nance has a question which she asked on the website. Once Esper is refitted and our makeover is complete, what happens next? Do we just sail away, or do we have some kind of test run? Is there a snagging process?
Great question, Nance, and of course the answer is that we just sail off into the sunset and everything is wonderful and perfect. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. So what we have to do is a shakedown. It's like snagging in houses, but it's called a shakedown when it comes to boats. So we take the boat out, we try all the things that we've put into her, all the new systems, and we hope that everything works. What we don't want to do is to have to put her back onto the hard, because that's a long and expensive process. So really it's up to us to get everything working beforehand, and then once we're out at sea, to test things like navigation and the autopilot to make sure that they're all working properly before we go on any long trips of any kind. So a shakedown is what will happen first. Mark Thomas on Twitter wants to know why we haven't replaced the teak deck.
Yeah, good question, Mark, and that is the question we get asked the most, and you'd imagine it's mainly a cost reason. Well, it's not just the cost, although it is cheaper to get a teak deck made in Thailand than it is compared to Europe. The main reason is because of the heat factor, and the fact that having a teak deck, all 15mm of solid teak, contributes to an extra few degrees of heat in the tropics. So we know of many people who have got rid of their teak deck, and it's a practical reason, really. There's a couple of other reasons as well. There's obviously maintenance, so we don't have to worry about maintaining a teak deck, and of course there's an environmental factor as well. We get asked a lot about how much the whole project is costing, so I've saved this question for a Sunday when Liz, our banker and budget holder, is nice and relaxed, because if I asked her on any other day I'm likely to get clobbered. So Liz, I think Steve Chafer, who sent an email, asked us the question best. Why didn't we just sell Esper and put the money towards a newer boat which was closer to our requirements?
Yes, it's a very good question, and it is something that we did consider last year. We looked at the possibility of selling her and adding some capital to the results of the sale and buying a new boat. But when we looked into what realistically we would achieve for Esper in the state that she was, we just knew we wouldn't get anywhere near the kind of boat that we wanted, and it seemed to make more sense, since we were in Southeast Asia, in one of the best places in the world to do a refit, to use the money to improving Esper rather than getting a new boat. This way we get exactly what we want, kitted in the way we want, with all the kit that we want. So we think we've made the right decision. In fact, we know we have. And this is something that I work on practically every day. It's our budget, from the screws and the tapes through to the expensive navigation equipment coming from Europe. Everything is documented here so that I can keep a handle on where we are. Obviously things like paint and equipment, that's the same price the world over. But where we gain here is on the price of labour. So at any one time we might have between 5 or 15 workers on the boat, and the daily pay over here is as low as 400 baht a day, which is about £8, up to 1200 a day for an experienced carpenter. So that's where the money really is going. Can't really give a total figure yet, but we will be doing so at the end of the entire refit. We'll be giving you a rough idea of pretty much how much we spent all in all.
My question for you is, what has been the highlight and the low light of our refit so far?
Oh God, how many low lights can I... You've just sprung this on me and I haven't had time to think about it. So the thing that I've enjoyed most is playing around with the colours and the textures and doing all the really big changes to Esper. I've loved the fact that we've got rid of the teak. I love the fact that we're using formica and unusual laminates below, and that we've put a whole new colour system in. I think it's all about the colour and the texture for me. That's the highlight. Low lights have been, probably the low light for me are the conditions. It is really hot and, more importantly, very dusty and unpleasant. Glass fibre all over your skin, in every little crevice you can imagine, constantly, all the time, itching and hurting. That's the low light. After our short break in Ko Lanta, we returned to the boatyard. Many of the workers were still on holiday, so we took the opportunity of a quiet boat to get on with some lime washing. As we've already mentioned, we've kept some of the original ash, and in order to make it fit with the new, lighter, whiter veneer, a lime washing effect helps neutralise a normally orange ash. We sanded it back to bare wood and then took a normal household off-white emulsion and painted it onto the wood. Before it fully dries, it is then rubbed in with a clean, dry cloth.
So having painted a thick layer on and rubbed it off with a dry cloth, the idea is that we're trying to rub the paint right into the grain. And as you can see, it's still a little bit too white, and we want to bring back just a little bit of that orange of the ash. So what I've been doing is, with the same cloth, just soaking it in water and just rubbing it back here. A couple of things to watch out for. Really what I'm trying to do is just to get rid of anything that looks obviously like a big splodge of solid paint or paintbrush mark. And the other thing you have to be aware of is that different sides of the wood, depending on the grain and the cut of the wood, will expose different types of wood. So unfortunately down here we've got a very thick part of the wood, so you've got the grain on the front, but on the side it's quite solid, so it's quite difficult to really maintain a consistent look throughout. But in the big scheme of things that doesn't really matter, because what we're trying to achieve is the overall effect once we've put the polyurethane on.
By the time the process is finished and a layer of polyurethane is applied, the once orange varnished ash now matches the rest of the interior. Whilst we were away, the painters continued to apply icing sugar to the deck. This is epoxy filled with micro balloons, which thickens the glue and is spread over the top of the rough biaxial fiberglass. After drying, the painters spend a considerable amount of time sanding back by hand the filler to achieve a smooth finish. As they work above deck, Pong starts to lay the teak planks on the sole boards. He selects the best planks for the saloon and glues them in place. Eventually, he'll cut them along the same lines as the existing boards. Tui continues to fashion the new cupboards on Jamie's side of the cabin, putting formica inside, building shelves and fitting the doors. Talking of doors, Tom shows us a neat trick with finishing the veneer. Here we can see that he has glued strips of veneer around the side of a cupboard door. After it dries, he roughly slices the excess with a sharp knife and then sands back the remainder. By the time he has finished, the veneer-covered ply looks like a solid piece of wood with no discernible joins or gaps. Our apprentice Sander May has moved off the boat and into our outdoor office, where we've got her cleaning the aluminium deck fittings. Using some wet and dry sandpaper, Brasso and elbow grease, she's doing a great job in getting the shine back.
Good work, well done. That's like new.
Finally, if you thought our refit project was big, try spending 2 years in the yard rebuilding a 90-foot motorboat. This week, Thea is revealed to the outside world.
This is Jamie, the owner of Thea. How is it seeing it for the first time?
Said it's like opening a big present. Yeah, not quite finished, but we'll get an idea of what it's going to look like, which is nice.
How much more have you got to do?
We won't get it finished before it goes in the water. We've just got to paint the cabin sides and the bridge sides. The bits that look a bit grubby. So we'll get it sort of undercoated and covered enough to get it in the water, and then we'll do a bit of a trip on it, and then come back in about sort of 4 weeks' time and finish it off in the water.
So where are you going to go on your little shakedown?
We'll go to Langkawi, not go too far from there. We've got some friends coming, and we'll just do a bit of a trip around there, and we'll take some of the boys with us, the engineer and some of the take a couple of crew, and and the electricians. We'll just do a bit of a run and see what comes up. But everything's new, so we're going to have some issues.
Yeah, of course.
That's it for this week. If you have any further questions, we're always happy to answer them. So catch us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, or followtheboat.com.
I have no question. You've given me all the answers. It's okay.